In February of 2002, 3 full days of brutal violence broke out against the Muslim population in the Indian state of Gujarat. The violence was communal, with a Hindu mob that also lived in the area setting fire to Muslim homes, slaughtering Muslim children, and raping Muslim women. The New York Times reported that about 1,100 people, mostly Muslims, were killed. Some 20,000 Muslim homes and businesses and 360 places of worship were destroyed, and roughly 150,000 people were displaced. The chief minister of Gujarat at the time was India's current prime minister, Narendra Modi. As a hard right Hindu nationalist from the BJP, he has been accused of being complicit in the riots as well as condoning the violence. There was also blame placed on police and government officials who allegedly gave Hindu rioters lists of Muslim-owned properties to target.
Narendra Modi, a self-declared Hindu nationalist, was chief minister of Gujarat at the time. One of his aides was later convicted of organizing a massacre, but no case against Modi has been successful so far. He strongly denies any wrongdoing, though he once said he regretted Muslim suffering as he would a puppy being run over by a car.
The New York Times reported that a top state official told one investigation panel that Modi ordered officials to take no action against the rioters. That official was later murdered. Thousands of cases against rioters were dismissed by the police for lack of evidence, despite eyewitness accounts. Modi had justified the violence against innocent Muslims as retaliation for an earlier tragic train fire that killed 59 Hindu pilgrims who were returning to Gujarat. The pilgrims were activists in the World Hindu Council who had defied court orders that were meant to prevent them from building a temple on the ruins of a 16th century mosque. The mosque was destroyed by Hindu nationalists back in 1992. Now, Hindu nationalists like Modi placed the blame on that train fire squarely on the Muslim community. But as the New York Times reported, an Indian government investigation found that the fire was actually an accident and not caused by Muslims. But even if the outcome of that investigation provided some evidence that a few religiously Muslim individuals did start that deadly fire, there was absolutely no justification for what happened next to innocent Muslims in Gujarat.
Hindu mobs raged through the state, burning their neighbors alive and raping women, whilst the police and authorities were accused of standing back and at times encouraging it.
Bilkis Banu was just 19 years old then and 5 months pregnant when she and her family were escaping from a mob on a truck. The truck was attacked by an armed mob who then gang raped Bilkis and killed 14 of her family members, including her then 2-year-old daughter and her mother.
Saeed and Sakil had been taken to a nearby factory and they'd been tortured and they'd been brutalized and they'd been murdered.
These men were part of a mob that attacked a largely Muslim housing complex, killing 69 people. Some burnt alive, according to investigators. Zakia Jaffrey and her family lived there. Her husband, a member of parliament who made multiple calls for help to state authorities, was killed.
The Gujarat riots were so troubling to US lawmakers that they called for a vote on a resolution condemning Modi's complicity to the violence. The House resolution condemned the conduct of Chief Minister Narendra Modi for condoning or inciting bigotry and intolerance against any religious group in India, including people of the Christian and Islamic faiths. The resolution urged the United States to 1, condemn violations of religious freedom, and 2, assist other governments to promote freedom of religion. The US government also denied a visa to Modi in the wake of the Gujarat riots. But he later became prime minister, and things quickly changed with regards to America's reception of the nationalist Indian leader. Just this past weekend, Modi visited the United States and held an event called Howdy Modi with Donald Trump in Houston. Reports indicate that the line that received the most thunderous applause was when Trump said, quote, "We are committed to protecting innocent civilians from the threat of radical Islamic terrorism." You know, that's a fascinating focus considering how the US is grappling with a rise in non-Muslim right-wing violence. In fact, dozens of people were just gunned down in El Paso by a racist who published an anti-immigrant manifesto right before opening fire. But it's no surprise that Trump has a lot of love for a right-wing anti-Muslim Hindu nationalist like Narendra Modi. We all know how Trump likes to cozy up to the world's most unsavory authoritarians and fascists. But what gets little critique is the fact that a Democratic presidential candidate who presents herself as progressive is a huge supporter of Modi's. In fact, Tulsi Gabbard is the only Democrat in Congress who claimed it was a great blunder when US lawmakers denied Modi a visa following the Gujarat riots. She also spoke out against the House resolution condemning Modi. According to NDTV in India, Tulsi Gabbard is a strong supporter of Prime Minister Modi. Gabbard criticized the resolution, saying 417 weakens rather than strengthens the friendship between the United States and India. The resolution runs counter to all the hard work that the American people, particularly those in the Indian American community, have done to improve the relationship. In response to Modi's recent US visit, Gabbard tweeted, quote, "I'd like to extend a warm welcome to India's Prime Minister Modi on this latest visit to the United States. Glad to see so many Indian Americans from all across the country, as well as many of my colleagues in Congress coming together there. Hashtag Tulsi 2020, hashtag Modi." Even though Modi has been vicious in his dehumanization of India's Muslim minority, Gabbard proponents argue that she's just the peace candidate who's trying to maintain diplomatic ties. And if that were the case, that'd be admirable. But there's no indication that Gabbard finds Modi's actions during those riots objectionable, and she never hesitates to defend him. In fact, Gabbard justified Modi's decision to strip Kashmir of its autonomous status, which is a strange move coming from someone like Gabbard who claims that she just wants peace, because Modi's decision is likely to further destabilize that region.
Modi's government took away the region's special status under the Indian constitution, thereby stripping it of the power to set many of its own laws. It also downgraded Jammu and Kashmir state, which includes Indian-controlled Kashmir, to a union territory. This means that it will effectively be run directly by New Delhi. Indian states have much more power to direct their internal affairs.
Modi's actions have increased the risk of war, including nuclear war between Pakistan and India. But Gabbard made excuses for Modi's actions when asked about it during a recent visit to Los Angeles.
It is not as clear-cut as this one side versus this one side. I think it's important as outsiders looking in to understand the complex history of Kashmir and what has happened to people there in the past, and how many families were driven from their homes there and fled and have not been able to return home. How the previous government had policies in place that made homosexuality illegal, that suppressed the voices of women, that made it, I met a woman a couple of days ago who said that she as a Kashmiri woman had no rights to own property.
Those were the exact types of justifications our government cited when they decided to invade Muslim-majority countries or when they pushed for regime change wars. If Gabbard is looking for peace, justifying the actions of Modi, which unquestionably increased tensions in that region, is a funny way of getting it. Look, taking a diplomatic route to resolve international conflict with nationalist leaders rather than going to war is commendable. But Gabbard's relationship and admiration for Modi goes beyond that. In an unlisted video on Gabbard's YouTube page, a guest at her wedding read out loud a letter Modi had written her to congratulate her on her nuptials.
As you celebrate your marriage, I convey my best wishes to you and your family for a peaceful and prosperous future, and for your health and well-being. Also, since India cannot be fathomed in one visit alone, I invite you to visit India again in the near future. Please accept the assurances of my highest consideration. Narendra Modi is our Prime Minister. So on behalf of our Prime Minister, I invite the newlywed couple to celebrate the honeymoon in the land of Devas, land of Lord Krishna.
I mean, I don't know why she felt the need to make that video unlisted all of a sudden. Look, I don't know. If someone is begrudgingly keeping things civil with a right-wing nationalist leader with the hopes of resolving international conflict, would that relationship really be cozy enough to the point where notes of love and admiration are being read aloud during wedding ceremonies? Gabbard should just own up to who she is. In case after case, she has shown her disdain for Muslims. Let's keep it real. She did so when she voted alongside Republicans against allowing Syrian refugees into the United States in 2015. She did so each time she parroted right-wing anti-Muslim talking points when criticizing Democrats who didn't use the phrase radical Islamic terrorism. She also did so when she was the only Democrat who attended Benjamin Netanyahu's 2015 speech condemning the Iran nuclear deal before Congress. Now, she later supported the Iran nuclear deal, but it was fascinating that she was the only Democrat who was willing to hear his speech. Finally, for an anti-war candidate, Gabbard's 2015 tweet toward Obama, who extended and expanded Bush-era foreign policy, didn't age so well. Because even though Obama's foreign policy was brutal and aggressive, she didn't think he went far enough. She tweeted, "Al-Qaeda attacked us on 9/11 and must be defeated. Obama won't bomb them in Syria. Putin did. Hashtag never forget 9/11. But I'm sure all of these verifiable points will be brushed off as nothing more than supposed smears. Just know who all these candidates are before simply taking what they claim to be at face value. Oh, you know you want to see more videos like this. Just subscribe to the channel below. And don't forget to become a TYT member and download the TYT Plus app on your phone. Head over to tyt.com/join today.